Hello everyone and welcome to upstate New York as we're in Watkins Glen for round 5 of the FRS GT Series as our drivers get underway here in this qualifying session. As we spectate our current championship leader Marvin Helgett. Of the times at the moment. We've Scott not far behind. Both of the drivers opting to go for the Lamborghini. As we're really used to seeing Helgett in the Porsche in previous rounds of the FRS GT Series. But a reminder that this was the last round for drivers to use their mulligan and switch their choice of machinery. Helgett continuing to go for the slightly more stable Lamborghini for these final 4 rounds. As Manuel Howitt, who's now P2 running the brand new 720S Evo, just released earlier last week. We've yet to see what the rotor performance is of this car to the rest of the field. Hotwood doing a good job to get it up into P2 so far. Just 4/10 off of official pole sitter Marvin Helgett. P3 is Adam Scott. Also running the Lamborghini on just 7/10 of our current divisional pole sitter. 4 is Oscar Sumner in the new Aston Martins we have out. Has just been dropped by this man Alex Ames, who looks to be returning to the pit lane. Then in P6 we've got the driver who is battling for the lead in our last race out at Indianapolis. That is Thomas Spike. Mercedes AMG. P7 currently, we have got Tom Lightbody. So 296. Rounding up to the rest of the top 10. P8 we've got Christophe Demey. 9 Nick Wood. And in 10 we've got William Stitchbury. Driver who's opted to change their car, currently running in P12, just finding their feet at the moment is Kevin Nordenette. Very late 2010s Lewis Hamilton making the group. And the gold. That's the driver who will be looking to find some more time. Spectated some of his practice sessions earlier in the week. Currently leading the way of the Silvers is Christophe Gervais, Porsche 296, sticking with his speed for now. Actually saying that, I believe wasn't in Audi before. So a number of drivers jumping around between the cars. Leading the way in the bronze split is David Lee. North IMG Racing by Pro. Through the car. Just have 5 minutes of this qualifying session. Still Helgett. That's in P1 at the moment. As Lee jumps himself up into P12 ahead of all of our silver split runners. So Lee putting himself in contention of being moved up a split here with that qualifying time. Marvin Helgett enters into the third sector, and yet to see a driver drop into the 143s here. We have seen it during practice sessions. These drivers have been running throughout the week, so definitely time on the board. Just needs to put the lap together, and I think Helgett will be just prepping for another fast lap. This one isn't looking like an attempt, so let's go on board. Better come around it. Flying lap. Fast, right? Let's start us off. That's blowing fast flat out corners. Going straight to the bus stop chicane. Setting for recording earlier, so it's done with the audio. Hopefully that will be better. Yeah, please do let me know if there are any other issues with the audio. We come round to finish the lap. It's looking like it should be an improvement here for Helgett. It's not quite going to be enough to get him into the 143s, but we'll extend that gap back to the current P2 sitter of Christophe Demey, who's done well to jump himself up from P8 earlier on in the session. As he found his feet, now sitting in P2. Christophe Demey comes around to finish this lap. Will be an improvement in time, but doubtful improvement in position, with Helgett being quite as far ahead as he is. We have probably just one more lap from each of these drivers. Just 1 minute 30 seconds remaining of the session. As Demey crosses the line, just 2 and a bit tenths off of Helgett, pulling off the racing line, and that will be the best we see from Demey tonight. Enough for P2, and just has to hope that Thomas Spike, who's currently on an improving lap, doesn't find those additional 7/10 of a second. And we watch Kevin Nordemit come around the final few corners. Looks to have just thrown away a little bit of pace here at the end of this lap, so will not be improving their lap time. There's one driver who is on a charge at the moment, is Ewan Stitchbury. Currently in the second sector, and is a good number of tenths up on their previous best. This could be a solid improvement for the Ferrari driver, but we will quickly check in with Marvin Helgett, who crosses the line for his final lap. Not quite enough to get into the 43s, but was exceptionally close, and that is a very good foundation. And will mean he guarantees himself pole position for tonight's race, unless someone can find a drastic improvement. There's Ewan Stitchbury. Just final few corners to navigate now, and should see them jump reasonably far up the order. As many drivers now finding improvements through the last few corners of this lap. Stitchbury comes to cross the line and jumps themselves up into P12. In the end, not quite the improvement it looked like they may have had. The next driver to cross the line will be Khalid Ramadan. He does appear to be missing a livery at the moment. I'll see if I can sort that out between the sessions, but it is unfortunate. As Ramadan comes to cross the line, there's going to be a decent improvement here. Could see them jump out a good number of positions, and they do. Jumps just ahead of David Lee for P14 for tonight's race. Next across the line to improve will be Alex Amez. Not going to be enough of an improvement to jump him anywhere up the grid, I do not believe. There's Adam Scott comes around the final sector. Needs to find just 0.02 of a second in order to jump ahead of Sumner, and seems to be matching their previous best. So we'll see what this is as they cross the line. I don't think it was enough as they stay at P7, and we will take a short break and then we'll be back for tonight's race here at Watkins Glen. As our drivers start their engines, we just about have time to take you through the starting order for tonight's race. On pole position, we have got Helgut, followed by DeMay. On the second row, we have Spike and Hartwich, followed by Nordemir and Sumner. Scott, Amez, Lightbody, Sue, Van der Heijden, Stitchbury, Booth, Ramadan, Lee, Akos, Klein, Spit, Dermot, Wanda, Garley, Hicks, Van Winsum, Tutt. And then our final two drivers on the grid are Montegineo, and round out the grid is Civic. As they pull away to start this formation lap, we will be racing here at Watkins Glen in just a few short minutes as this driver here, Marvin Helgut, leads the pack away. It's a quite long formation lap here, as usually this first sector very, very quick in these GT3 cars, but as they are restricted to the pit limiter speeds, there's a awfully slow formation lap, much like the one you get at Spa. Take this opportunity to have a quick look at our review of our championship standings, if that is something I can quickly find. I suspect not. Apologies. I should not promise things that I cannot find easily. Okay, so leading the way in the overall standings is this driver here that we are looking at right now, Marvin Helgut, who was previously, as I said, driving the Porsche 992, now driving the brand new Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2. And leading the Gold Cup is this driver, Christophe DeMay, currently starting P2 in this race, well ahead of the rest of the gold split field. So it will be interesting to see how their race goes. Then leading the silver split is this driver here, Christoph Gergely-Bakos, now driving the Ferrari 296. And leading Well, we do not have the leader of the bronze split tonight, but second place in the bronze split is this driver right here, David Lee, who finds himself ahead of the entire silver class. So, and with a 9-car gap back to the next bronze split driver, that of Stephen Tutt. So, should be an opportunity to score good points here for Lee. As we get to the end of the formation lap and our drivers line up 2 by 2, we are almost ready to get racing here at Watkins Glen. And hopefully none of the drivers pay too much attention to the signage leading down the start-finish straight here at Watkins Glen. As our camera angle changes, we will see the messaging that for some strange reason has been provided to our drivers of go bowling, and I do hope that no one heeds that warning, and we have a nice clean turn 1 on this FRS GT Series. As the lights go green and our green flag waves, we are racing here, and it's a good start from Helga. Quite a poor getaway, looks like, but from DeMay, as both Spike and Hartwick got the jump on the McLaren driver. As DeMay seems to be dropping back ever so slightly. Now under threat from Thomas Spike. Come through the first sector. So far, so good. Not seeing any yellow flags out on track at the moment, as Thomas Spike having a look down the outside of Christophe DeMay into the braking zone. Both drivers leaving each other plenty of space, and it is DeMay who comes through the corner ahead. Like hanging on around the outside. Brave racing here from the pair of them. For now, DeMay staying ahead, but it's Kevin Nordemir and Oscar Sumner behind, who are looking for any opportunity here, any mistake from these two drivers, and will open the door. As Spike running slightly wide of the apex, Nordemir looking to the inside, but too far back to make anything of it, and Sumner right on the back of Nordemir now. They come down towards hill corner. Reasonably fast right-hander. All important to use that exit curb. As behind, we're getting some movements. Opposition, Ewan Stitchbury dropping back as Vizo Su moves up, and we've got yellow flags out for Khalid Ramadan, who's falling down the order. Number 8 car falling back. Let's see what happened to Ramadan. Oh, has that contact there with, I believe that was Gurgly Bakos. And that is Ramadan down now in P26 in this race. Looks like Oscar Sumner has just dropped back behind Scott, and it is Tom Lightbody looking to the inside of Sumner as they head to the bus stop chicane. And Sumner staying ahead for now. As Kevin Nordemir going side by side now with Adam Scott. Scott, the move made up past Nordemir, and it is now Oscar Sumner who's having a look around the outside. It's a fast corner to go side by side through, as slight contact there between Nordemir and Sumner. Nordemir using the entirety of the track and pushed Sumner wide. Sumner will have the... Well, actually, I thought might have had the run out of the corner, but it actually looks like it's someone who just lost out there, and Lightbody with Ames and Sue close behind. Sue up the outside of Ames, makes contact there with Lightbody as Tom Lightbody and Alex Ames side by side. Oh, sorry, Viso Sue side by side. Alex Ames dropping back as well as we come through the first sector. Lightbody and Sue. Oh, and there's contact made, and both cars around, and that is going to be causing a roadblock for all the cars behind as they come through the first sector. I think that was also Nick Buff in the Aston Martin getting caught out in that one as well. Yes, we've got a penalty coming out for car number 12. That is Conor McDermott, our series admin, getting absolutely no preferential treatment. Let's see if we can see what that was for. Oh, so apologies, I may have misattributed that collision with Ramadan before to Gergely Bakros. It was not. That was Conor McDermott. Looking to get a run here on Simon Wonder. They come down the start-finish straight. McDermott tucked up behind, going to look to the inside. You have to be brave on the brakes to try and make this one work. There's also Spitz leaving room. And as we jump on and follow Luke van der Heijden, who's now chasing down Alex Ames, who we saw losing out to, I believe it was Stitchbury and Sue before. Right on the rear bumper of Alex Ames. Lovely onboard shots here. There's Luke van der Heijden tucked up behind Alex Ames behind Rune Stitchbury. And it's the three of these who are battling hard at the moment and leaving a little bit of a gap towards Nordemir ahead. Ames looks to the inside. Going a train of 4 cars through the first corner as there's contact between Ames and van der Heijden, and that has allowed Sue through, taking 2 positions in 1 there. So now follows Viso Sue ahead of Luke van der Heijden, Alex Ames and Bakos. As van der Heijden on the outside of Sue now into the bus stop chicane. It would be a brave driver to try and go around there. Tucks back in behind. Good while at the moment. Marvin Helgett just checking out a little bit at the front. He's got a 2.2 second lead over Hartwick. Jumped DeMay at the start. And with all this battling going on, it has allowed Simon Wonder to also catch up to the back of this fight, meaning it is Viso Sue leading van der Heijden, Ames, Bakros and Wonder. And this could become a very intense battle indeed. to start the 6th lap of this race for these drivers. And it's all about getting that all-important exit to the first corner. Completely dictates your speed all through this first sector, as we can see Van der Heijden getting slightly closer to Ames ahead, not enough of an overspeed to try and affect any sort of pass this lap. But these cars not separated by much and actually keeping well with Ewan Stitchbury, who hasn't managed to pull that far ahead. And just see as they head down this fast left-hander how close the cars ahead are battling, and for Christoph Görgli-Bakos, really just a matter of being patient at the moment, letting the cars ahead of him battle. Opportunities may present themselves. But it does seem to have the pace against the two cars ahead, especially with them battling so hard, as Christoph Görgli-Bakos is getting extremely close to the back of Luke Van der Heijden into the braking zone. Other battles are happening amongst some of these other drivers, with Viso Suit, as you can see, just ahead, chasing down Ewan Stitchbury and looking to make a move. As Suit goes to the outside, seems to have been allowed through there by Stitchbury. Perhaps just a bit of team orders coming into effect. As Viso Suit moves up into P8. And we've got yellow flags out for Simon Wanda as he goes sliding through the grass. And what has happened to car number 992 of Simon Wanda? Or was it just a little bit of a misstep through the bus stop chicane? Yep, taking a bit too much curb on the exit. Oh, and that is a heavy crash into the barrier and across the grass. And I must imagine there's substantial damage to that car from that incident. Rejoin our train of cars from P9 down to just P11 now. Not quite as long a train as we were having before. But even Viso Suit not managing to pull that far away from these cars. Just 1 second ahead. Circuit not the easiest to effect a move at, as it does rely on either getting a much better exit from the first corner, or a driver making a little bit of a mistake. Not many lines for each of these corners, despite how wide the circuit is. And can be very, very slippery offline here, especially as you see there on the tight right uphill corner of Toe. Lots of marbles offline, and the curb here at Hill can be quite treacherous if taken at the wrong angle. The drivers having to be wary at this circuit. It does seem that you can use the curbs a lot of the time, but use the curb at the wrong point, at the wrong corner, and it will spit you out. As Christophe Demey has caught up to Manuel Hartwick. He's now just 0.2 seconds back and is beginning to find his pace and get on a bit of a charge here. We come down the long back straight towards the bus stop chicane. I'm not sure if Demey is going to have enough of a slipstream to get alongside, but has fought his way up, and this could become a tense battle over P2. Pointing out, Hartwick is a driver in the Platinum split, whereas Demey is in the Gold split. Hartwick, previously driving the Audi, has now moved over to the new McLaren since that was released, and is showing that he can perform in whatever machinery he's got under it. Christophe Demey continuing this battle, and these two perhaps just slowing each other down, keeping each other a little bit distracted as Thomas Spike is catching up this battle. Now just 1.3 seconds adrift as Demey goes deep into the final corner. Not going to find much grip out there, and that has enabled Spike to catch right up, and even thinking of taking a look into turn one. I believe that's Elliot Hicks getting by the Porsche of Wanda. It looks like Ramadan wants to come through as well on the inside of the third to last corner. Not quite enough room there. Not quite enough grip available. That is Elliot Hicks though up into P19 in this race. As we can see a few pit stops being made already by some of our bronze split drivers, as Montegino and Lee have made their mandatory pit stop. As we have got yellow flags out for Van der Heijden, who was battling with, I believe, Ames and Bakos. Let's see if there was contact made there. So that is Van der Heijden. Oh, going to the inside. Oh, a little bit of a slide there. Seems to have survived that. So, in the end, yellow flags coming out, but not too much to worry about there. But Van der Heijden has found themselves now falling down to P15. So, I can only suspect something else happened after that small incident. The drivers that he left behind, Alex Ames and Ewan Stitchbury, still battling hard. Corner. We're going to have to see if Ames can have the overspeed, but it's Christophe Demey looking to the inside of Hartwick into the bus stop chicane as they're both quite scrappily through the corner, as Thomas Spike, having to take evasive action there, gets all out of sorts and slides himself into the barrier. What has happened there for Spike? Oh, not even taking avoiding action, just getting a little bit out of sorts on the exit of the bus stop, and that is straight into the barrier for Spike. Somehow still managed to get himself back onto the racing track without losing too much time, but I suspect there is going to be a lot of damage to the front of that AMG Mercedes, and it is Christophe Demey now in front of Manuel Hartwick. So what has happened here, they come down into the fast downhill left hand up before toe, and that was a good move there from Christophe Demey to take P2 off of Manuel Hartwick. manages to hold in front of the McLaren driver all the way through the second sector. But well done to Christophe Demey. He's moved himself up into P2 in this race. Brad Spitt, who's currently running in P13, having a quiet race here, but is currently in P3 in the silver split, just behind the two drivers you can see ahead of him, Christophe Bakos and Conor McDermott, but both of those drivers carrying 10 and 15 seconds penalties respectively. So on the road at least, Brad Spitt running in P3, but after all the things are added up, he is leading the silver split, and well, seems to actually be sandwiched between a good number of penalised drivers, so perhaps not in the safest of positions, taking into account the well, at least the steward judged safety of the drivers he finds himself amongst. Klein, one of our Platinum split drivers, I believe, is trying to find his way through. Sven Klein is a gold split driver, but still trying to find his way past the silver split driver of Spit. Needs to find his opportunity. He's just getting on the throttle a little early there. Is Klein. It does seem that Van der Heyden is attracted to the trains of cars. He's dropped away from that battle between Stu Stitchbury and Ames and now finds himself in a battle amongst 5 different cars. But Brad Spitt looking to the outside of McDermott, just showing himself in the mirrors, not committing to a pass. Not really enough of an opportunity to get alongside, but just letting McDermott know he's there, putting himself in the mirrors, trying to unsettle the Ferrari driver ahead of him, and wants to try and use his pace and hopefully try and shake some of these fast cars behind him. So I can imagine feeling himself under quite a bit of pressure here with small gaps both ahead and behind him. It's always a risk here when you're in the position of someone like Spitt, where you know the cars around you have got penalties, and that was Klein making contact with the back of Spitt. Thankfully for Spitt, that Aston Martin is a robust beast and is not going to be shifted out of the way so easily. But for the likes of Klein, with the drivers around him, sorry, the likes of Spitt, with drivers around him having penalties and not actually battling for net positions really, might just be in his best interest to let them go and profit from the time they will lose in the pit stops anyway, because looking like Klein getting quite aggressive there as they're going 3 wide into the first corner. Klein slotting in behind. As Van der Heyden has got himself past Klein. What's happened here? We were just following Conor McDermott, but Klein good on the brakes into the first corner. Manages to muscle his way past Klein up into P14. Good, strong battling. As Khalid Ramadan looks to the inside of Elliot Hicks. as there's, I'm not sure was there's contact there, but certainly both drivers getting very out of sorts through the bus stop, and Ramadan taking the heavy route back onto the track. Not much of a slope there between the track and the grass as he ramps into the air. And they're now just dropping back from the back of Elliot Hicks. It's now the turn of Luke van der Heijden to try and find a way past Brad Spitt, who's just dropped ever so slightly off the back of Conor McDermott. A little bit of breathing room. A little bit of clean air in front of him. He needs to try and pick up his pace. As David Lee now has got past Guido Monteginio. Not sure where this happened, or see if we get a replay of this, or if this just happened a bit too far back for us to see anything before. Oh, actually looks like he's already made the move there. But apologies, we missed that one, but that is a move for the net lead of the bronze class. Beginning to see drivers heading into pit road. Both Spitt and Ames now into the pit lane. Yellow flags out for Khalid Ramadan. We saw on the previous lap taking a heavy route through the bus stop chicane. Apologies, I'm not watching the right driver here. As all this time, big old slide coming down through the chute. And it's back underway. But that looked like quite an impactful slide. Sure what's happened to Christophe de May, was dropped down to P15. Didn't see any yellow flags out for the Ferrari driver, but is now behind Hartwick, Scott, Spike and de May. Not seeing anything on the incident sheet either for the Ferrari driver, so can only imagine a self-made incident. On board with Nick Booth, who is chasing down Van der Heijden and Dermer, and he's pushed his way through now, having a starting quite far back in this race from what we would expect from Booth. Well, sorry, not starting back, but having a dropping back at the start because of incidents, but is now pushing his way forward. On the back of Van der Heijden and McDermott, looking to the inside of McDermott. Now it's Thomas Spike who's on the back of Scott, and this is for P3 in the race, and has got a good run down towards the bus stop, pulls out to the outside, will be side by side into the bus stop chicane. They need to give each other room here as both drivers heavily committing to the corner. And, well, it looked like Spike was going to get pitched into a slide there, but does well to hold it. Has dropped back a bit from Lamborghini ahead. Oh, sorry, the yes, yeah, that was the Lamborghini ahead. Apologies, the timing tower just confusing me there, telling me that bike was ahead of Scott, but I think that's because he got momentarily ahead across the sector line. We check back in with Nick Buff, who is chasing down still Luke van der Heijden. As Brad Spitt has pitted away from this battle, leaving just these two cars together on track. But Nick Buff not carrying a penalty at the moment, and with both Bakos ahead and van der Heijden carrying 10 and 5 second penalties respectively. Could be an opportunity here for Buff to jump himself up the field through pit stops. As Scott takes to the pit lane and unleashes Spike into P3 of the race. As Stephen Tutt has a good amount of clean track around him. Currently running in P1 in the bronze split. With both Lee and Montagnier having pitted. May not be net P1, but so far doing quite well in this stint. And is just got the one of the front runners of Ames coming up behind it. Just needs to leave a little bit of space. And I must imagine they will be jumping into the pit lane to make their one and only mandatory stop of this race pretty soon. Sumner, having made their mandatory pit stop in this race, running in P14 at the moment, has got Scott closing in on them. And Scott looking like they've got pace at the moment. Close that gap down to less than a second. And Sumner taking to the grass. And there's another driver we've not seen much of in this race. Garlic just having a quiet run at the moment, but currently sitting in P4. In the silver split, is just allowing Spike through. Spike, who is that one lap ahead, having not made their mandatory pit stop in this race. Esposito passes Tut. Position on track, though Sue, having made their mandatory pit stop, is not racing into the same strategy as Tut behind, and is through into P12. We've got yellow flags out for Marvin Helget, who's returned to the pit lane. Right. Disabled the auto camera, and we'll see what has happened to oh, is that just Marvin Helget going to the pits and that was not a real yellow flag? Was I just getting excited at something which, yeah, just ended up being a nothing, right? This is just ACC tricking me into thinking there's a yellow flag. What was I think a slow Ferrari ahead entering the pit lane may have just compromised Helget's pit entry, but should still see him comfortably leading this race when they leave the pit lane. There's Christoph Gergely Bakos rejoins this race behind Brad Spitt, having served his penalty in the pits. In the end, not actually that far behind Brad Spitt, both drivers having made their pit stop. And although Spitt leading the silver split, well, at least once pit stops are taken into account, as Colin McDermott, who is currently running a P5, has yet to make their mandatory pit stop in this race. And Brad Spitt is going to be under quite a bit of pressure for the rest of this race. As we check in with our current P3 in the bronze splits, that is Guido Montegino. And it's been a quiet race for Montegino so far, but he's doing well and not had too many incidents in this race, running a brand new car. And yeah, it does seem to be suiting them somewhat better, I think, than the car they were running previously. He's been able to have a reasonably solid race for them so far. Now currently just 3 seconds behind David Lee. As we have a battle emerging for the lead of the bronze split. It is David Lee behind Tut. Both drivers racing for the Gulf Iron Brew by KRO. And last time around, well, it was the outlap for Tut. But a 1 minute 50 for Lee as he's catching onto the back of Tut, but it is Brad Spitt going side by side with Scott coming up the hill, off hill. And all of this bringing Backcross into play. Spitt really doesn't want to get held up here by the Platinum driver. Might be gold driver. This is all, yep, gold driver of Scott. These classes in these races are way too confusing. Wish there were just 4, but it is what it is. As Kevin Nordemir has picked up a stop-go 30 penalty, and well, that was a big old shunt there between Backcross and Spitt, but I think I just saw one hell of a crash there for Nordemir. What's happened with Kevin Nordemir? He picked up a stop. Oh, hits the apex wall. And I've never seen a crash like that before. That was scary. But Kevin Nordemir in the pits now, and I imagine with considerable damage to repair on that car. And unfortunately for Nordemir, having done a return to garage, will also need to serve a stop-go 30 penalty. So things going from bad to worse for Nordemir. Check back in with the battle, the lead of the bronze split. David Lee closing in on Tut. The pace advantage on the last lap going towards Lee by half a second. And now the gap just 0.3 seconds. Lee going a bit deep on the downhill left-hander. So we head into tow. Looking to the inside, trying to find a way through, as that is Manuel Hartwick behind. Should be blue flags are waving as Lee allows the McLaren through. Is he going to try and take advantage of the blue flags here to try and get past Tut? Although that is also Christophe Demey coming through, and that gap just opened out a little bit further. We check in a battle between Booth and Civic as Booth looks to the inside as they head into Hill. Deep on the brakes. Booth makes the apex. Good exit there. There's a good move made on Civic. And he is past the McLaren. As we got yellow flags for Tut. And it's coming through the first sector. And what has happened here? Perhaps just a miscommunicate. I'm not quite sure what happened there. It looked like Hartwick just driving into the back of Tut. Yes, Tut was blue flagged, but yeah, it looked like the McLaren just tried to drive straight through the Ferrari. And Marvin Helget, net race leader, trying to get past Conor McDermott, who still has yet to pit in this race, and tried to fight with our race leader, in the end letting him by. As we are battling between Civic and Van der Heyden. Conor McDermott finally makes his mandatory pit stop for this race. As Christophe Goerli-Bakos looks to the inside of Brad Spitt. This a move for, I believe, the net lead of the silver split. Of course, Conor McDermott, the current leader of the silver split, currently in the pit lane. But Bakos through and gets the move done on Spitt. It remains to be seen where will Conor McDermott come out in relation to this battle. Will have to serve that mandatory 10-second penalty at his pit stop. As Bakos and Spitt come through the final few corners. Don't believe Conor McDermott still stopped in his box at the moment, so it will be Christophe Goerli-Bakos who takes the lead of the silver split. A good determined move up the inside of Brad Spitt. And as our field settles down a little bit, gives us some time to look at the standings as they are at the moment, with 17 minutes remaining of this race. Marvin Helget leads the way. He's been leading this race since the green flag waved at the start. It's been a bit more of an eventful race for our second place driver, Christophe Demey. Got jumped off the line by Manuel Hartwick, and then had a few battles throughout the race. 1 point down in P5, but now finds himself back in P2. Some 6 seconds ahead of this man, Oscar Sumner, who again has been involved in quite a few battles throughout this race, but now has a little bit of a gap back to the AMG Mercedes of Thomas Spike in P4. And then in P5, some 13 seconds back, is Alex Ames. It's Nick Buff. It's Aston Martin versus Aston Martin, as Nick Buff wants to get his way past Brad Spitt. And in the end, I think Spitt just allowing the driver of higher class driver of both to come through, with a gold split driver. As Van der Heijden is gradually catching up onto the back of this battle as well. Split. Currently P2 in the silver split. And also get back to Garley, who's our third place driver in the silver split. He's got Van der Heijden for company. Van der Heijden getting a little bit caught out by the change in gradient on the curbing there, and had to catch the rear of his Porsche. Porsche does love to kick its rear out, and nearly unsettled Van der Heijden into a wall there. We've got a battle between Sven Klein and Simon Wander, emerging down in the lower half of our grid. There's Wander. Is he going to want to try and have a look through the bus stop chicane? Doesn't in the end. A little bit slidey there for Sven Klein coming through the bus stop chicane. In the end, manages to keep it between the lines. Looked like he was at risk of sliding off the racing surface. But so far, so good, and manages to keep ahead of Simon Wander. Running out onto the marbles, and he's not going to have the grip, as Simon Wander's going to have the overpace here down into toe corner. And Klein making the apex, but Wander's going to have a good run out of the corner. So come down the straight towards Hill. Wander all over the back of Klein at the moment. Oh, and Wander getting all out of sorts there. A big old slide, and did he recover it? Let's just see. Getting a flash on the blinkers, and then I think a bit too eager on the throttle. Keeps it out of the wall. Well, does actually well to collect it there. Elliot Hicks tries to make his way past Garley's on the inside. Going to turn to the outside here, so it should be advantage to Garley. But these two battling hard and finding traction. Hicks looks to the inside, there's not enough room to really try and outbrake a driver into toe corner. Coming on the back straight towards Hill. Garley defending the inside slightly as Hicks tries to go to the inside, just backs out of it in time to not end up putting his nose in alongside the rear of the Ferrari. Stewards would not take too kindly to that. It's just dropping back ever so slightly from the Ferrari of Gali. As we are in the final 10 minutes of this race. Oh, Elliot Hicks taking a bit too much curb at the bus stop chicane, gets a massive slide, and this will allow Klein through as well up into P15. The next driver behind will be Conor McDermott. So in his eagerness to try and get past Gali has now caused Elliot Hicks to slip back towards Conor McDermott, who, let's not forget, took the late pit stop, should have much fresher tyres under him, and well, substantially fresher tyres after that massive slide from Hicks. It's going to have shot his temperatures and pressures through the roof, at least for a number of corners, so it has to be said, probably advantage McDermott here for a little while as he continues to chase down Hicks. Running wide through the final corner. Conor McDermott closes in down this back straight. Not long enough, sorry, down the start finish straight. Not going to be close enough to make a move, but seeming to have the pace at the moment. And it's this long run which is the important one down towards bus stop chicane. Done, bringing that gap down ever so slowly. There's Brad Spitt and Luc van der Heijden battling as Spitt runs wide, and that's allowing van der Heijden through. In the end, wasn't much of a battle as Spitt runs out onto the marbles, and that has allowed the Porsche of van der Heijden up through into P11. Conor McDermott getting ever closer to the back of Hicks, who just seems to be dropping away in pace ever so slightly. Conor McDermott using all of the track right out to the wall on the final corner. Desperately wants to take this position off of Hicks. Will be P4 in the silver split. Whichever of these drivers finishes ahead. McDermott goes very high on the camber of the first corner. Going to compromise his run down towards the bus stop. As McDermott makes the same mistake as we saw from Hicks, although tries to come back onto the circuit at the wrong part, and that's exactly what I was saying to you before. It is a sharp step there between the grass and the curb, and Conor McDermott sliding his way down towards the barrier, and that will neutralise his attack on Elliot Hicks, and also has now sent him back towards the next driver behind, which is Simon Wonder. Simon Wonder, who has our race leader for company. So we'll just allow Marvin Helgert through. but we'll want to try and stick onto the back of that Lambo and try and follow it through, as Colin McDermott undoubtedly going to be carrying some damage after that incident. We've got yellow flags out for Luke van der Heijden, who now finds himself being passed by Brad Spitt. Brad Spitt was going round the outside towards the bus stop chicane. And move made through the bus stop. We'll see if we can find out what happened to Luke van der Heijden to allow that. I think it may be just an incident through the first corner, as it seems to be going exceptionally slowly. And this is what allowed Brad Spitt through in the end. Sven Klein all over the back of Garley. It's going to look to the inside into toe. Sticks to the apex like glue and gets the traction through the corner, and in the end, clinical pass there by Klein. Just stuck it around the inside. We've got yellow flags for Bakos, and well, that's not the kind of direction you want to be seeing any car going in. As through the final two corners. Oh, you don't often see an incident there, but Bakos just getting caught out on the exit curb of the second to last corner. Thankfully, he had quite a gap back to the second place in the silver split, that of Spitt. And now that gap down to just over 5 seconds. Should still be quite safe here for Bakos, with just 3 minutes of this race remaining, but needs to not have another incident like that. Otherwise could see himself throwing away the silver split lead. Just behind Bakos are Spitt and van der Heijden, who continue to battle. No taking it easy for either of these drivers, as van der Heijden going very wide and out onto the grass. The Spitt runs deep into toe corner. This has allowed van der Heijden to come back at him. Not quite going to have the opportunity for overlap into the braking zone for Hill, but he's going for it. Goes very deep into the corner. Manages to keep it on the apex, and wow, that was a committed move by van der Heijden, getting the braking perfect there. And I felt certain he was going to overshoot the apex, but expertly done. And he gets himself up into P11. Now just remains to be seen if he can hold on to it this time, as it was a mistake into turn 1 that gave Spitt the run on van der Heijden the last time round. So we'll just keep with this battle for a little longer to see if van der Heijden can this time just keep things together for turn 1, and he does in a decent exit, and that should allow him to at least hold on to the position for the remainder of the sector, as Thomas Spike is getting himself involved in a late battle for the final podium position. Wants to take that position off of Oscar Sumner, as our leader Marvin Helge enters onto the final lap of this race. It will just be just one more lap for all of these races. As Thomas Spike now within 0.2 seconds of Sumner, in touching distance now. Just for the overall final podium position. Thomas Spike is going to desperately want to take this place off of Sumner. As they've got some back marker traffic ahead of them as well. I believe that is the Porsche of Simon Wander just ahead. who could end up playing a part in this battle, as they seem to be rapidly approaching the silver split driver. Spike not close enough to look for a move just yet, as Sun Wonder gets well out of the way, doesn't want to get involved in this battle, and yep, I can understand him there as he gets on the wipers and the blinkers. Maybe just forgetting which buttons do which. There's Thomas Spike looking to the inside into Hill Corner, I think just hoping for any type of opportunity at the moment. As our race leader Marvin Helgert crosses the line to take the win here at Watkins Glen. He will be followed home by Christophe Demey. An eventful race for the Ferrari driver, but in the end finishes in P2. And the battle continues for P3, but it looks like Oscar Sumner is going to take it just ahead of Thomas Spike as they take the checkered flag together. There's P3 for Oscar Sumner. P4 goes to Thomas Spike in the AMG Mercedes. There's Ames still wringing the neck of his car as he brings it around the final corner to take 5th position. Vito Suit crosses the line behind, followed by Ewan Stitchbury and Adam Scott. As Nick Buff brings it home, and Christoph Gergely-Bakos rounds the final corner to take the win in the silver split by Luke van der Heijden. And Brad Spitt taking 2nd place in the silver split. Sven Klein will take P14 or P13. And the final podium position in the silver split goes to Garley. Well, thank you very much for watching, everyone, for what was a very eventful race here at Watkins Glen. As I suspect there'll be a number of incidents that people will want to talk about after this race. But that will all take place in the stewards room, as next week the FRS GT Series will be heading to, and you see a smart man would have worked this out before he started that sentence. But we will be heading to Imola, the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari, or as everyone calls it, Imola, on the 4th of June. So please do tune in for that. It will not be broadcast here, so I will try and bring you details of where that will be broadcast. But on this channel next time will be round 7 on the 18th of June, which will be at Suzuka. So do tune in then. And have a very lovely rest of your day. Until next time, good night.